We are live. What's going on? This is Jesse,
There's Ruben.
and welcome to the Hidden Health Podcast. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Just dealing with this smoke out here, California wildfires.
So
What
when
about
did
you?
the wildfires start?
I think
When did the wildfires start?
sometime in the middle of the week, we got a notification on our phones, and it was just like, "Hey, stay inside." I think it was Wednesday. And when you looked outside, for some reason, we thought it was just cloudy, but it was like, "Nah, that's just smoke." I was like, "What?" It looked like there was
Wow.
like a consistent sunrise all day. The sun was just like orange because you couldn't see it through all the smoke. And when you went outside, it just smelled like burning wood, as you would smell
Mm,
like at a barbecue or something. If they use like a Traeger grill or something, they have that wood fire smell, and it was like smoky, and it
hmm
makes you cough. And crazy enough, the next morning when we woke up, we leave like a yoga mat outside on our balcony. There was like little flakes. It was ash.
Oh, wow.
So you're like, oh crap, that's why they told us to stay in, because you're like literally breathing that in, and that's unhealthy, like 100%. So it's been going on and going for all these days, like since when I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I forget. But so yeah, it's been fun dealing with that and trying to navigate what time of the day you want to work out, because like the air is a little cleaner and you don't smell the wood fire. So
But
we've had to.
I also saw on your Instagram that you were out hiking.
Yeah, I went hiking specifically to get away and get some like fresh air on
Oh,
my
you
rest
went
day.
away from.
Yeah, so I went more
Okay.
south, where it's like it was cleaner. Obviously, I was higher elevation, so it was like completely clean air. You didn't smell it at all.
Yeah,
So
that's cool, man. That's
yeah,
cool.
man.
Well, dope.
So
How
what
was
about you?
your oh, I'm good, man. Things are real quiet here in New York. Yesterday I went to this park where they were doing this like disc dance thing. So it was a kind of like
Ah,
just
that's good.
social distancing and dancing put together. So it was a good time. But the Black Lives Matter meetup was there too. So it was kind of trippy to see, like, I saw a lot of friends who I hadn't seen in a long time, and we're trying to navigate like how to interact during these really strange times. Like, can we hug each other? Can we touch each other? Can we dance next to each other? Like, do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask? All these like new social questions that are coming up. And then to have to watch this like large march just walking down the street, it was like, man, we're living in some trippy times. So yeah, it was interesting, but it was nice to get away and listen to some good music. It was chill. So I'm doing pretty good. Um, yeah, how was so let's jump into it, man. How was your training for the week?
It was good. Obviously, moved more into 3 milers. I did it today. With this wood in the air, but you know how you get tougher. I was like, oh, my lungs will enjoy this. But I thought the strength and conditioning was really nice this week. I feel myself definitely getting stronger. Like that 44 pound that I was
Mm,
struggling with a few weeks ago, I was able to snatch it, which in the past, snatching and doing like squats with that would definitely kill. I mean, it's still really hard, but not as hard as it was, 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I was like, oh, I feel it. Like I'm getting stronger. My body is conditioning itself to this heavy ass kettlebell that I mistakenly bought. Um, so I felt strong. Obviously, I also messed with the time of when I worked out. So like early morning, obviously because of all this happening with the smoke, I had to adjust and push my workouts to a later time of the day. Funny enough, a few years ago, I read a book, and they said for people, it was like based on chronotypes. You take like a quiz on like what your chronotype is in terms of like how much sleep you need, how much, like what kind of foods you should be eating. Um, I forgot what the book was called. Karina probably remembers, but basically, I'm a bear, which requires like we're not meant to wake, like we don't wake up early. We're usually like up around 8 or 9 a.m., which is kind of funny because I usually wake up if I don't have no alarm clock between 8 and 9 a.m. No matter what time I go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one thing that it mentioned in the book that I haven't experimented with was that we should work out after in the afternoon when our blood and insulin levels and all this stuff in our body is just more primed to take that strain on. So funny enough, I think I felt stronger because I wasn't working out in the morning. I was working out at like 3, 4, 5 p.m. So my body must have been primed to take on, the long run or the kettlebell that I'm using, all these push-ups and pull-ups that I'm doing. I was just able to take it on more. So that was really interesting, just seeing that difference. But also, it could just be that I'm getting stronger because there's like no rest days technically. The rest days are still active, the active recovery.
What are you doing on your rest days?
Definitely like an hour of stretching. Sometimes I'll throw some yoga in there. I went on that. It was a 9-mile hike that I went on the
It's
other day. That
awesome.
was on a rest day. And it wasn't hard. Like it was about 2,000 feet in elevation, not that much like high. Um, but it was just clean air. I mean, I'm still sore from it, funny enough, but you're walking 9 miles. I was like a 3-hour hike. And there was some
Sure.
parts I was just like, oh, there's no one around. I would like jog it out real quick to kind of get the feel of what a trail running would be like because it's not paved, it's dirt, it's hot, the sun is beating on your back, and I'm like, this is probably what we're
Yeah.
gonna experience. So I ran about maybe a mile. I would just run a little bit. When I would see people, I would stop, put my mask on because people actually were wearing a mask on the trail because there's like this small the trail, so you have to actually pass each other. um but yeah, like active rest day because doing a hike, as you saw, I don't know if you saw on Whoop, it definitely brought my strain really high.
Mm, yeah.
It is a workout in itself, and you're dealing with all that heat. And obviously, I have to watch out for mountain lions. I have to be prepared for that. I have to watch out for rattlesnakes because that's the thing out here. So, like, all these things were in my mind. I was just like, just ready and primed for all that. So it's nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What would you do? What would you do if you saw a rattlesnake?
It's fucking terrifying, but they're more afraid of you than you are of them. Just keep your distance. I mean, that's what it says on the signs. Like if you encounter one, just they usually run away from you.
Mm,
And you'll hear it. That's I don't wear headphones when I go hiking. I usually just it's me myself in my mind. Um, I get to listen to my footsteps and get to listen to all the birds chirping and all the little lizards scurrying around. So it was nice, and I definitely needed it. I had a pretty hard week, but um, yeah, man. If I was like more afraid if I encounter a mountain lion. I mean, I had a mountain. What is it? The water you're drinking right now. So for those
Mountain
who
Valley,
aren't,
shout
yeah,
out.
Mountain Valley water. Shout out. That's the best
Can we
water
get
on
a
the market,
sponsor?
right?
Can
But
we get a
that's
sponsor?
the water that I take with me all the time, every time I go hiking. So, not only is it like healthy, it's a glass bottle. So I'm like, if worst case scenario, I come into contact with a mountain lion, I'm breaking this shit, and that's gonna be my weapon. You got to work with what you got, So yeah, always prepare for that. But yeah, it was a good week. I mean, I felt like I had no rest days. I was just working out every day and or doing yoga. So what about you? Like, well,
Yeah.
I know you did a whole experiment this week, so definitely got to hear
Yeah,
about that.
this week's been fun. I mean, as far as training goes, so I've picked up now to about 11 miles, and so that has added another day of training. I mean, another day of running for me. So I just incorporated that into one of the training days, which was, I believe, Thursday, but I actually initially wanted it to be Monday, which is when I usually have my first strength session, which will be next week. I'll start doing it that way. But it was a good time. The running has been really good. The pacing has been great. I run on dirt roads, so I'm getting pretty used to it, and
Nice.
I and we will dive deeper into this as we talk about nutrition for the week. But so this week I decided to run an experiment where I'm fasting for much longer, and we'll dive into that in a bit. And I just found that there really isn't a big difference unless you do some wrong things, which I definitely did at some point. But there really is no big difference between running fasted, and it was dope. It was a good time, and the training was pretty hard this week. There was a lot of for both training days. There was a lot of squatting and bending, and what I decided to do, because one of the things I found after doing so many squats this week and last week was that I still have some significant tightness around my hips and lack stability within my feet and my knees. So I picked up this. I'm in Elliot Hulse's King Transformation program, and so I actually hit him up a while ago, telling him about sometimes I get knee pain. This was before I found a lot of ways to work that out, but he recommended this course from this guy named Eric Wong. His company's called Precision Movement, and he's a kinesiologist, and he's got a boatload of different courses you can take for like spine control, shoulder control, upper limb control, lower limb control. And so you can either purchase them separately, or you can get you pay a monthly fee and you can get access to all of the courses. And he's dope because he also offers for every month you're in the course, you get 2 tokens. And with those 2 tokens, you can get one of his courses completely for free, essentially. And so I was like, dope, might as well sign up. And he's got tons and tons of value on there. And so I started using the lower limb and upper limb control. And there's a lot of assessments around there too. So you had me setting up freaking, if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, like I was setting up like tape in my living room to track like the mobility of my hips, how far my legs can go out and stuff. And it was really fascinating information. It actually turned out, my girlfriend's a dancer, and she's got like frog feet, in the sense that her feet are really, really strong. Her body's really strong. But it fascinated me because she doesn't really experience, really any pain in her body, and I do. And I always thought it was just because I had more imbalances. But we took the test, and funny enough, she had some stronger imbalances than I did, but she
Oh
doesn't
wow.
experience pain. And so, to me, it had me wondering, like, oh, is there like a different form of damage that I could have done? Because the difference between me and her is like my damage came from, you know, throwing weights like an idiot and hurting myself and creating imbalances. But maybe it comes up a different way. So I don't really know. Maybe there's someone out there who could explain to us what's going on there. But so I did a bunch of assessments, and then I started doing his programming, and it was awesome, man. Like there's a lot of great exercises that you do to, like there's this one exercise where you put, because essentially what he's trying to do is create new neurological connections in your feet and throughout your entire body. So you're doing a lot of like self-myofascial release or joint mobilization, but he has this like the large part outside of because the joint mobilization, a lot of that stuff, like I've either done something similar before, or it's something that I'm aware of. And same thing with the myofascial release. Like I'm aware of that, but he did this one thing which is called the association and dissociation. So he would have us um, uh, move our feet in different ways than we're used to, that they naturally don't actually move, to awaken certain nerve endings, right? So for example, like if I was to extend my foot, right? If I was to extend my foot, my feet would naturally extend as well, right? Like your toes would naturally extend with your foot if you were to pull it out, right? Like point your toes. And so what he would have us do is like you'd point your toes, and then you'd point your foot, and then you'd flex your toes at the same time, and vice versa. You'd flex your foot, but you'd extend your toes. And so creating these new neurological connections. Or like there was one exercise where he had us put a pen or a highlighter between each toe and try to get your toes to squeeze the highlighter. And my pinkies are just
Mm,
absolutely dead. Like my pinkies are completely just they don't work. Like I'm trying to
dang,
gain
wow.
connection. Yeah, it's fascinating. And even just in the week that I've been doing it, it's been really great. Same thing with my arms. Like he has a lot of really fascinating exercises for that. And so I say all of this to say that, you know, there's so much great information out there on how to take control of your body and fix your body in ways that you need to do it. You just need to go out there and find it. And there's people out there like Eric Wong. Like I highly recommend checking his stuff out. It's awesome. It's affordable. He's a great guy. So I've been doing that, and what's great about it too is he's got other resources in the programming that has cut my mobilization routine, almost in half. I was spending about, hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes a day rolling out and doing different things. And he's got some great daily routines to that, take 10 minutes at a time or 20 minutes at a time to go through all the joints in your body, how to warm up properly before a workout. And he uses flows too. So instead of like sitting in a static stretch for, 2 minutes at a time, he'll just takes you to a flow and you're done in 8 minutes or 10 minutes and you're ready to go. So
Hmm.
it's just, there's a lot of ways to improve mobilization and how important it is for what we're doing and the longevity of our bodies. And so, so that was good. And then the running, uh, yeah, the running was legit. I had, like I said, I had spread it out, so I wasn't doing like last week. I did 4 miles on a long run, but this week it's been like I did 2 miles and then 3 sets of 3 miles, and so it was a good time. It was chill. It's great because it also helps me get my reading in, because
All right, because you listen
I
to books.
am. Yeah, I listen to books. I love it. You don't like listening to books, right?
I do not like listening to
So,
books. I like my paper. I have my highlighter, and that's what I'm doing.
so what do you do when you're running? Are you listening to music or are you podcasting?
Mostly podcasts, or I do have Audible and I do have books, and I re-listen to like Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life, or I'll listen to some David Goggins or something that kind of puts my shit in order.
Yeah,
Because
sure,
when
sure.
you're running after like mile 2, you're like, I'm feeling this, you know. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, but I can't listen to books. I don't know how you do it. Much respect, but it's just not my way.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, today I actually have to do 3 miles, and I'm having one of those days that you were having last week, which is just like I have zero desire to do this. I have
Ooh,
no like me and Val, we just want to kick it, watch some TV, and I have no desire to get this workout in. But I'm gonna do it anyway because look what my hat says, bro. You know what my hat
discipline
says.
equals freedom, baby.
Yes, sir. And so uh how has training gotten in the way of any of your like daily routine or with work and stuff?
Not yet. I think so because it's like most of the strength and conditioning workouts are no more than 45 minutes.
Sure.
I've even been adding my own to it because I feel like it's not enough, for like adding my own like core exercises, or I'll add my own, like I have a pull-up bar, do some pull-ups, like um because I noticed that because we're doing a Spartan, right? Like yeah, there's the half marathon, but there's also the obstacle course race, which you need to like be able to hang for a long period of time. You need to be able to climb shit. So I'm like trying to figure out if there's like an outdoor like thing out here. I haven't found one yet, where I can climb stuff and like jump over things, like swing, like all these things that are required. So I need those parts of my body. I don't know how to like. I haven't figured out a way to like duplicate that at home, which is kind of hard. So like I just use the pull-up bar, I'll hang for a while, I'll do pull-ups. I'll do those like where you pull up and then you switch and then you pull up and then you
Mm.
switch to get like different grips. Hold the kettlebell. I don't use gloves because I want to make sure that I don't know if you're doing it too, but callus your hands to be able to take all that. Um, so that's what I've been trying to do this week. Just extend certain parts and be like, am I hitting everything? Especially like my core. I've been doing a lot of core work. I use the aloe moves like Patrick Beach because that dude's a beast. And his core stuff is pretty good. So I've been using a lot of his core, but it doesn't interfere with the day. Like right now, it's very like chill in my job. I'm more afraid of next month. I think next month, when we come back to this conversation, is going to be a different story of me trying to figure out how to implement training when I have a really busy schedule. And making sure I'm still going to sleep by 10:30 p.m., which I haven't. I've had horrible sleep this entire week. So I think that's been like taking it. I don't know if it's because I'm working out later, so I have more energy. I did, and we'll talk about nutrition. I did switch up and tried to experiment this week with my nutrition. Mostly like less like trying to like do fasting, but not like intermittent, like 16/8 or something like that. So I tried that, and I think that could have affected it. I don't know, but we'll get into that. But so far, it's good. What about you? Like, how's the day to day, your job, like all that stuff?
Yeah, I
Kind of.
mean the work has been fortunately this week a little. Oh, fortunately, I don't know why I said that. If either way is be great. The work week's been a bit slow because there's some things that are on standby until we definitively get clear on what we need to move forward. I know I'm talking very vaguely, but it's a startup, and so there's not a lot I could say right now. But all I could really say is with what I have going on, there was just a lot of things that were on standby this week versus other weeks where it was long days and lots of work. Um, so fortunately, the week's been good, um, and sleep has been good for the most part. And I guess this is where we can start talking about nutrition because it kind of ties in, um, and we can kind of go deeper on things as well. Because for me, and I didn't know that you were experimenting with your fasting as well. So, what were you doing with fasting this week?
So I was just doing like a typical like 12 hours. I'd stop eating around like 6 or 7, and then I'd actually wake up and eat breakfast because I
Okay.
haven't done that in so long. So this whole week I was like eating breakfast. I would eat a small snack for lunch and then have dinner. So lunch wasn't really lunch. It was like a quick like a piece of fruit or something like that. Um, but yeah, I was experimenting with
How
seeing
was
like
that?
you definitely don't want to, like, especially if you're still like intermittent fasting and you're just like you feel stronger that way. Because I felt sluggish. Like, yeah, I felt stronger in my workouts, but I think that's just because I did it later in the day, which means my blood circulation was just stronger, so I was able to pump more. And I
What
think that
time were
meant
you training?
between 3 and 5. So
Yeah.
some days
Okay.
was 3:30, other days was closer to 5, but depends on the work day. Like if I had a light work day, I can get away with 3. But um, so like doing that, you feel sluggish because your body is just busy all day just digesting food. I definitely
Mm.
felt like I had to take more naps this week. I felt like a dip of energy. Especially I was getting that same, like I think I talked about it before, like at 2 p.m. like little crash where it's just like, "Oh, I don't feel like doing anything." So I definitely was just like, oh,
Mm.
this is probably not the way. But I wanted to try it to see. I haven't done it in so long.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just, back to intermittent this week. But I tried it.
So what's it gonna look like? What's it gonna look like this week?
Well, and eating at 6, and I won't eat the next day till about 11:30, 12. I usually try to go
Okay.
past that if I can. Usually on busy days I'll go past it, but just back to intermittent fasting. And obviously I do my Monday all day fast. That's rest day. I do yoga that day and just work on stretching and mobility.
Mm.
But yeah, Monday is my only day that I start Sunday night, but you know, it goes into Monday or Tuesday morning. So yeah, that's what it looks like for me. But you are probably a bigger one because you were fasting every freaking day this week. I
I
was
was
like,
fasting
what the
every freaking
hell,
day this
dude?
week. You know, so yeah, I guess I'll explain what I did and then how I felt about it. So, um, I had the idea because of you. um, well, let me backtrack. So last week, after we got off our call, um, me and Val were feeling a little, we were feeling a little excited. And so we had decided to get Jacob's Pickles. If anyone who doesn't know what Jacob's Pickles is, do you know what Jacob's Pickles is? No? Jacob's Pickles, my man, is Southern good eating. So
Ooh.
we're talking biscuits, we're talking
Ooh.
coleslaw, we're talking
Mm.
fried chicken, we're talking all the goods.
And
And
they probably cook it all in soybean oil.
no, actually they don't. I looked this up. I checked in with them, and they use sustainably sourced meats too. So
Oh, nice. What oil do they
yeah,
cook in? Olive oil?
yeah, pretty much olive oil. They use a lot of like animal fat too.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's legit. It's legit. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're still eating biscuits and fried chicken. So it's like,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so, and my thought process was because we had our conversation and you were telling me about the 36 hours, I was like, fuck it. I'll have this and then I'll fast for the next 36 hours. I'll just do a quick 36-hour fast and I'll be good to go. I'll get back on the diet afterwards. And so the next day, and also something that I was experiencing a lot was my work is in marketing. And so I am naturally on my phone often, I'm naturally on Instagram often, and um, I felt like I got to a point where it was just too much and it was just exhausting me. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a 36-hour fast, but I'm also just gonna fast from everything. I even hit you up and was like, hey man, if you need me, you know, I'll hit you up later. I'm gonna be MIA for the day. So I left my phone at home. I left my headphones at home. I just went outside and went to the grocery store, got me some good Mountain Valley, and got some books on me. I actually have Jason Fung's book on, I
His
think it's
guide
called
to
The Ultimate
fasting.
Guide to Fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had that book and I was like, let me just look into this and see like, how can I really improve? Because I had already read a majority of it, but I wanted to go back and reread and learn some things. And so I had that book, and then I picked up another book just for reading, which was a good time. I went to the park, found a nice seat, and just spent hours just hanging out there, and it was great. Like there was a point where I started to get a little hungry, but I kind of got over it pretty quickly, and then it was so great to just not think about, oh, when's my next meal, because that's the one thing about calorie counting is like you're constantly trying to stay on top of when you're eating. You want to make sure you get your food in at the right time and all that stuff. And I was reading a Jason Fung's book, and there was just so much content there around the benefits of prolonged fasting, specifically with fat loss and muscle retention and muscle growth, and how your human growth hormone just skyrockets when you are fasting, and how you can just live a fasted lifestyle, and yada yada yada, and all these other benefits, right? That were being there. And so I was like, well, okay, if I can create the calculations, let me see for this week how I can fast. So the way I set it up was from Sunday to Saturday, I have, I work, I train 5 times a week and I rest twice a week, right? And so the way I had it set up was that between each day that I train, I would do a 24-hour fast. And then going from my training day to a rest day into my next training day, I'll do a 36-hour fast. So essentially it was 2 36-hour fasts and 4 to 5 24-hour fasts. So four, I guess you could say it was four, someone smart once told me don't do math in public. But anyway, it was 2 36-hour fasts and then the rest of 24-hour fasts. It came out to a total of 192 hours of fasting for the week.
And use the Zero app, right?
Yeah, and I use the Zero app. Yo, shout out to Peter Attia and the Zero app. It is a phenomenal app. Go check it out. And so I was a little nervous, honestly. Like when I looked at it, I was like, like how am I? I'm like, am I really gonna do this? Like, am I really gonna make this happen, or am I gonna quit in like 2 days? But I gotta be honest, like, I did the 36-hour fast going into Tuesday. I'm sorry, going into Monday. And when I broke my fast, I got full pretty quickly. I felt pretty good.
What'd you eat?
So I decided not to count calories for the week, obviously, because I was just like, I'm doing so much just by fasting for my body that I'm just gonna
Right.
Eat healthy, eat clean. So, and I'm gonna switch it up this week as well a little bit. I'm gonna continue fasting the way I've been fasting because I actually really, really like it. And I'll explain why. I'll switch what I ate this week. So what I ate this week was pretty much, I was having meat. So I had lamb liver, I had pork sirloin, and I had some steak, some London broil, mixed with some rice. Put a little curry powder on that. Get Primal Kitchen garlic aioli mayo, and have myself a little bit of halal food. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of that good homemade halal, and it was delicious. It was a good time. And so I had that. I had a protein shake. I had some macadamia nuts, not all at the same time, but within a 2-hour span. And then I went back to fasting like immediately after. And I gotta say, like, I think the 36-hour fast kickstarted it because I got full really fast, and I did not want to eat. And it just opened up my day to take care of other things. Like, I remember the first day after that when I was doing my 24-hour fast. And mind you, it was sort of a slow day at work as well. And so it's not like I was constantly distracted by work. And so what I ended up doing was I started cleaning stuff around the house because I was like, I'm a little hungry, but I got all this extra time because you think about how long it takes you to cook something. Then you think about how long it takes you to eat something. Then you think about how long it takes you to clean those dishes.
2 hours.
All of those things. Sometimes, yeah, it could be up to 2 hours. And so you save it, and you're doing that once, twice, maybe 3 times a day. That's so much time that you're just spending on food. And so I cleaned out my closet. I cleaned out other things. I did some writing. I studied a few other subjects that I was really interested in. I found more time to read books, all these things. And so it just opened up space for me. And then once I broke fast, I ate, and then I was full again, and I was good to go. And the other really interesting thing about fasting is you really start to enjoy your food, because it's limited. You have a limited amount of time to eat. And so you're like, I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of this because I've been waiting literally all day to eat this food. And then I'm not going to eat food again until another whole day. And so you are really excited. I get really excited to eat versus before it's like, whatever, like I'm not even thinking about it because I'm expecting it. And then the other thing that I really started to notice from myself was just like Instagram, just like music, just like sex can be this way. Like food is a sensual experience. And sometimes if you are that type of person, which I am definitely that type of person, food can be a distraction for you. And I started to notice, like a lot of maybe suppressed fears or worries or concerns or ideas that I had been thinking about started coming up for me. And actually, if you don't mind, I have a poem. I
Let's
wrote a
do it.
poem. I wrote a poem, a small little thing. Um, I totally forgot that I wrote it, but I have it here in my notebook during one of the fasts. So if you don't mind, I'll
Let's
just
do
read
it.
it to you. I don't have a name for it. It was just during my fast, and it came up. Okay, here we go. I fear of the sunsets of tomorrow. Yet I find hope in the rise of love. May its shine on the dark forces who force their arthritic hands upon us. Can I fast my desires for the need of my people? Can you surrender your justice for reconciliation of all? Can you find God in your neighbor, even though his lawn is full of weeds? Can this poem be directed to all players involved, not just the ones on either side? And I just wrote that because I think a conversation, we haven't had on this podcast really. I mean, we mentioned it
In
in
passing.
the in passing or in the description, but we really are living through some fucking weird times. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Like we're really living through some really fucking strange times. We have no idea what tomorrow's going to look like. 750 million genetically modified bugs have been put out in Florida. We've got COVID. We got robots.
Protests.
We got protests. We got
This crazy
uh,
election that's
it's
about to start.
great. Exactly. We have all these things that um, uh, it's going on and minimal human interaction, and so we really are so sold into listening to everything that's happening in the world. And the beautiful thing about the fast this week was it just gave me more time to, because I don't know if you have this experience, but when I'm fasting and I'm at that point where I'm starting to get pretty hungry, let's say it's like 2, 3, maybe 4 hours before I actually break the fast, I don't want to look at anything. Like I can't stand on my phone. I can't stand music. Can't stand
I can't
talking to
even
people.
talk.
I just want to
Yeah,
be
right.
fucking left alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to be left the fuck alone. Don't
Yeah.
talk to me. Leave me the hell alone. I
Yeah.
can't listen to podcasts. I can't even sometimes focus on a book. I'm just like in. So I get it.
Yeah. And I think part of it is like, because you're not being filled with anything, whatever's coming up within you is coming to the surface, and you're starting to listen. You're starting to hear what's going on. And so I really enjoyed that part of it as well. There was very higher level to the experience, and also not to mention that fat loss was great this week. Leaning out has been great this week. Training was awesome. So one of the things I learned the in the Jason Fung's book was actually that your adrenaline kicks in when you're fasting. So if you're going on a long fast and you're going to train, you will typically actually be able to perform better because you're in a fasted state. And so when I did, I did one of the toughest strength sessions I did after the 36-hour fast, and it was fucking awesome. Like I loved it. I felt great. And so that was awesome. The one thing that I learned in accordance to training, which is, so one thing that he mentions in the book is that your insulin, because he's talking about like when's the best time to break your fast, and what he says is that you don't want to break it in the morning because your cortisol is really high, so your insulin's not that interested in eating. That's why you're not typically, unless you're just addicted, you're not typically hungry when you first get out of bed.
Nope.
And then
That's
your
been a lie
insulin's
sold
kind
to us by. Oh, sorry. there was
Oh
some
yes,
delay.
yes. Go ahead.
I
Let
was
them
gonna
know.
say
Let
that
the people
the
know.
breakfast has been a lie sold to us by Kellogg, man, and all the breakfast cereals. They're like, you need to, breakfast is technically two words. It's break fast, right? Because you fast at night. And I never understood why I needed to eat breakfast. My mom used to say, Ruben, eat your breakfast before you go to school. And I was like, but I'm not hungry. I used to go to school and not eat until 12, 1 o'clock. So I did intermittent fasting before intermittent fasting was a thing.
Right.
A lot of the time, except on weekends. Like mom would make breakfast, I would eat it, but we get up late. We get up around 10:30, 11. So like at the end of the day, like I was still like fasting till like afternoon. So I think, folks who listen to this is like, I need to have my breakfast in the morning. There's something else going on. There's some blood sugar stuff. Maybe you need electrolytes more than you need actual food, because usually you wake up. Bro, I know it's not good because we drink plastic bottles. I know it's not good, but the water here is absolutely disgusting, and mountain spring water is very expensive. So I drink two of these as soon as I get up. Like as soon as I get up, two of these bottles are down the drain. You know what I'm saying? That's 32 ounces of water. I don't know if you do the same, bro, but that immediately jump starts my day. I throw a little bit of salt in one of them. Sometimes I'll put apple cider vinegar if I remember. So like I get the electrolytes, but folks need to know breakfast is not required. You can wait a few hours before until you actually feel hungry. If you feel hungry, eat. But if you feel hungry as soon as you wake up, that means something happened last night that your blood sugar is struggling in the morning. And don't you notice that? Have you ever eaten too late or like drank, and then the next morning you wake up really hungry? Have you had that experience?
Mm, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's just something. But yeah, the whole breakfast is a thing. It's just like that's bullshit. But anyway, continue.
Yes, yes,
Had to throw
yes.
in that little vent.
And actually, just to quickly touch on what you just said, that's the other huge benefit of doing prolonged fast is you're able to afford high quality food and water because, like for example, just to like even it was even worse before I started counting calories because technically if you're cutting calories, you're eating less than you normally do, right? So it was even worse. But even when I was counting calories, I was going to the butcher shop, which is a grass-fed, regenerative farming butcher shop. So it's expensive meat. And then I was going there maybe 2 to 3 times a week, spending maybe anywhere between $60 to $80 a visit on food, because I don't really eat a ton of vegetables. I eat mainly like meats and some veggies and fats and stuff like that. So this week I went to the butcher shop on Sunday and that was it. I haven't been to the butcher shop back since. And it's because I eat one meal a day, one meal every 24 hours. And there's two days that I don't eat at all. And so, the money I put towards food has gone way, 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 way down. And then, it also opened up an opportunity to be like, well, hey, if most of my days are gonna be what I'm gonna be consuming is water, I might as well invest in, the highest quality water I can. And fortunately, we have one of the grocery stores near us has a great deal on Mountain Valley. And so, I bought a bunch of bottles there, and that's what I've been drinking all week. So I drink really high quality water, eat really high quality food, and actually am saving money by doing it. And I'm getting leaner, and I'm building muscle. It's fucking awesome. There's just a ton of fucking benefits to it. And so I so back to what I was saying about the breaking a fast, he says you don't want to do it in the morning because your insulin's not ready for that. So it's not interested in food. You don't want to do it at night because uh, your digestion is ready to slow down and take it easy. And so you will just fuck up your sleep during that time if you eat really late. Best time to do it is between 12 and 3 because your insulin's the highest and that's when you're the hungriest. And so you want to capitalize on when you're the hungriest. And so on Tuesday, when I had my first run, I was 20 hours into a fast, and it was, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. And I woke up, I felt great. I was like, all right, let me go get it. Let me go get this run in. I came back, felt good. Awesome. Then my second run, however, which was, I believe, yesterday. Yes, yesterday. I, well, it was my third run actually. My third one, I made the mistake of, I woke up, I was tired because I had finished my fast pretty early the night before. I think I finished my fast at like 12 or 2. Um, and we made a boo-boo. We stayed up late watching Joe Rogan's interview with David Blaine because it was just so fucking fascinating. And
Oh
so,
yeah, such a great
yeah,
freaking podcast.
yeah, it was awesome. But so we stayed up a little late watching that, and so I woke up a little groggy, and I was like, all right, I'll run. I'll run when right before I break my fast, right? Because I was feeling tired, assuming that I was going to feel better as the day went on. But what I didn't realize was again, the insulin is highest between 12 and 3, and I was going to break my fast at 2 o'clock. And so it was 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and I was like, fuck, I have to run, and I feel terrible right now because my insulin was really high, and so I was feeling really hungry. And I didn't process this at the moment. I remember I was on my run, just like, why do I feel so terrible? Like this felt amazing a few days ago, and then I checked the time, and I was like, oh yes, that is why. So, pro tip to anyone out there who's active and interested in fasting: if you are going to fast, just be wary of when you're training and stuff like that. So that was the only real hiccup. And also, so the biggest shift that I'll be doing for this following week is I'm gonna go keto. Um, I might consume very minimal amounts of carbs, but I am interested in really, because that was the biggest thing. I think it wasn't a huge struggle from day to day, but there were those last couple hours before I broke my fast where I did feel like I was in a serious lull. And from everything I've read and listened to, you shouldn't actually be feeling that. Once you get accustomed to prolonged fasting, you should just be feeling pretty good all the time. And I think the biggest reason why I wasn't was because I was still eating a considerable amount of carbs for my meals. And with that, I'm also, I'm missing out on a ton of other benefits, because the great thing about prolonged fasting is that it helps you, it helps you stay in ketosis, or even gets you into ketosis quicker. And so I was like, fuck it, if I'm going to be doing this, I might as well do it to the best way I can. So this coming week, I'll be switching it over to keto fasting and making sure my meals are a lot more keto. So that's it as far as nutrition. And I will say that in the beginning of the week, now it's fine, but in the beginning of the week, going to sleep was pretty shitty. I was waking up in the middle of the night, um, uh, just like a little bit irritable, or some nights it was hard for me to fall asleep. But like once Wednesday, Thursday rolled around, I was sleeping fine. So
Transition period, man. You needed it.
sure, yeah, and it's awesome because not for nothing. And I double checked because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just losing water weight. At the end of the week, I got down, so I got down to 180 doing the, cutting calories over the span of 4 weeks. I lost about 3 pounds, or over the span of 3 weeks, I lost about 3 pounds. So I was down to 180. And at the end of this week, I was down to 177. And I was like, I'm going to double check this because I was like, okay, because I checked, I think I checked after my second 36-hour fast. So I was like, okay, I'm going to break fast tonight. I'm going to eat. And then tomorrow I'll check again where I'm at. And then the next morning I was 177 again. And so I was like, all right, boom, this is real. And also like seeing it in the mirror, seeing the progress photos, I've definitely lost that amount of fat this week. While, not for nothing, the strength, I feel really strong this week. I feel like all my muscles are still there. I don't feel like I'm losing any muscle mass or anything like that, or any of those concerns that you might have if you're an athlete or if you're training for something and you're doing these prolonged fasts. So I was like, this is wonderful all around, you know. It is and also from a vanity standpoint, even though you really shouldn't be doing this. But I'm not gonna lie, that part of me exists. You feel like a badass, you know what I mean? You feel like just a badass motherfucker because you're doing something that's hard on a daily basis. People are gonna, no one's actually saying, no one even knows I'm doing this. Like maybe you are because you're listening, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, but no one. I'm not telling everyone in the world that I'm like, look at me, I'm fasting. It's all in my head, but I'm making this up in my head. That like, man, you're just like a badass motherfucker. Like you're not eating. You're just like abstaining from this thing that people are so addicted to, that you've been addicted to in the past, that people love and can't go a day without going. You're just doing this every fucking day. Like, look at you, man. And you're fucking training. You're doing this, blah blah. So yeah, it's just all around. It's all around a positive experience. So I look forward to seeing how this week goes, especially going keto and seeing how that plays out. I'll still probably have Jacob's pickles or something like that on a Saturday on a Saturday eve with the
Still keep it
lady.
keto though.
Still keep it. I'm no, honestly not. I'll be having the biscuits and all the good stuff, but 6 out of 7 days it'll, and that's the thing, right? Is like, because I'm doing these fasts, uh, I don't feel any guilt. I mentioned this. I mentioned this last week. Is like, I know, if I'm having this thing once a week. By the way, I'm not doing this every day. Majority of the week, I'm I'm eating as clean as possible, like the cleanest, healthiest food I could possibly find. That's what I'm eating. So this isn't a jail-free card for you to go out there and eat a bunch of shit. But if you are going to eat out, if you're going to eat something, that's not typical of your diet, you just fast, just fast longer. Just take a longer fast and let that food really get in and out of your system, and you can move forward and maybe still see results. So I just find fasting to really be an awesome answer to personally a lot of my hangups around food and diet and all these things. So, and that's subject to change, but I'm gonna see how this week goes, and we'll see if I'm feeling the same way next week.
I have a question. I know. So for the listeners, like this question, people don't usually ask, but like, how is the bathroom experience? If you know what I'm talking about, like because fasting, obviously, you're not digesting anything, so is anything coming out? You only eat once a day. Is your body just gobbling all that up, and like we don't have any waste? Like, how's that look?
Well, that was one of my concerns initially, but
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate that the entire week my poop was clean and fine, and that just goes to show, however, that it's um, I spent a lot of time trying to fix my gut. I've used different probiotics, different digestive enzymes, making sure I'm eating foods that don't give me stomach aches and fuck up my
Irritate. Yeah.
belly and irritate my stomach. So I've been fortunate enough to work through a lot of those things. And yeah, every day as soon as I broke fast and I had a nice good meal, I took a solid poop. So I was good to go.
Good. Because I know
Is that
like
something? Is that something that keeps you from doing something like that? Because I know you've had a lot of digestive experiences.
yeah, I mean, it's like because I'm fasting and I know as I'm getting older, I can feel the fact that my body's, you know, like I just feel full longer. I don't need to eat as much as I used to. Like, I feel like it just takes time. Like, after I eat, it's just like people are like, you're done by an hour. I'm like, no, it's more like 2 or 3 hours that it takes for me to fully digest a meal. That's why I
Mm.
hate eating late. Eating after 9 p.m. is worse. It's the worst experience because then I cannot sleep. Like, I just feel the
Mm.
food moving. So like obviously we did the 5 day fast in the past, and I remember after like day two, I didn't go to the bathroom at all. But that's completely normal because you're not. intaking anything. I mean, you listen to the David Blaine podcast, and when he did the 44 days fast
Mm.
in that little cubicle, he was like, I didn't go to the bathroom at all. And I was like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not ingesting anything, so nothing needs to come out. Um, and if something comes out, that's scary. That's dangerous. You need to go see a doctor. Um, but I know that then, and then when if I do like fast, usually like I don't really go. Like I'll go, but it won't be like a significant amount or like the amount
Right.
that is
But
considered
you,
healthy. Be a little bit.
but do you, I don't remember us ever having this discussion, but do you take things like probiotics or digestive enzymes?
No, I mean I was taking on its gut health thing for like a month, and that
Right.
thing actually was working very well, but it's also freaking expensive. It's like $80 for like $84 for a 30-day supply. And
Sure.
for some reason living here, like my package got lost. So like I had to
Wow.
like hit up there. So it took a long time to get here anyway. Um,
I would
so
I'd recommend doing something like, so the thing that I think really helped me, because I was having really bad issues like that too. I was having really, like, to the point where I was bloating constantly, and um no matter what I ate, and especially if I ate tons of vegetables, I was getting really, really bloated. And there were days where I'd go 2, 3 days without pooping, and a lot of times if I did poop, it was like little nuggets and just constipation. It was a terrible experience. Then I started using seed, and I think I told you about them. It's $50 a month. It's not cheap, of course, but I did
cheaper
that
than gut
for
health.
cheaper than gut health. It's a prebiotic and probiotic mix. It's check approved by, like, I
Mm,
worked with one of the top check coaches, Jay Torpierre. It's a product he loves, and they're really legit in their research and what they put out there. And I did their stuff consistently for uh, almost, if not 6 to 9 months. I did this stuff consistently, and I stopped doing it. I've actually stopped taking their supplements because, as you guys know, I have this metabolite test coming soon, and so we'll know what I'll actually need to be taking. But I was like, let me stop. Let me just stop this for now and see what happens. And I have not had any real digestive issues since then. Obviously, the only time I really have it is if I do eat too many vegetables, or I eat too fast, or I have too much liquid with my food or something like that. But my poop has never been better. So uh, if you haven't done that consistently, especially if you did it for a month and you felt better, if you had a better experience, I'd highly recommend trying it out for like 90 days plus of
right.
something consistently.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I mean, it's been okay, and I know for the listeners, like talking about poop, I think is more important than anything because that's how your body
Mm,
you can see what's wrong. Like you literally, if you look at
mm,
it, you can see depending on the color, like if you need to freaking see a doctor or change something, right? Like, is it too watery? Is it too way too solid? Like, why am I constipated? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating the proper foods? I mean, there's the whole fiber debate right now because carnivores like when I was carnivore, I had great every day. It was perfect. I was like, this is amazing.
mm,
But I noticed that if I eat too much fiber, I have the opposite. And people are like, you probably go to the bathroom more. I was like, no, I go less. um, and I've
mm,
had
mm.
like horrible experience. I mean, obviously there's the emotional aspect to it, what's going on in your life. There's a spiritual component to like how your body, because I know I had that experience in China. Like I remember I went about, I think I counted 9 days without going to the bathroom. I was eating a normal meal. I was drinking. I was not in no health, like doing anything crazy to the point that I had to go to one of the girls and be like, do you have any ancient, I'm not taking medicine, like ancient Chinese ways that I can like help this? And she brought me to like a kind of like what are those called? It starts with an A. That where they use food as medicine, or I think I forget what it's called. Apocratic, apo something. Do you know about that?
Nah.
Like ancient Chinese medicine.
I mean, I
But
know
basically,
herbalists, like an
yeah,
herbalist. Yeah.
kind of like an herbalist. Like she brought me to this place completely like all Chinese, obviously, and she was just like, take this tea, but be careful because it can be, like you can have a horrible night. Obviously, I didn't listen because American and stupid, as they say, they call us out there. And I took too much. And I remember, like, after the 9 days, that 10th day, because the ninth day, she brought me in the morning when I went to work. She was one of the teachers. So, teachers over there, you work with Chinese teachers as an American teacher. And she brought me, she was like, I got your back. Like, I have a herbalist that I can bring you to. So she took me during the workday. We were on like a lunch break together. She took me and they got me this tea. Literally, the bag was the size of, like, bro, like this big of just like crushed up tea. And she was just like, do not take more than like 2 tablespoons of this per time you
Mm.
go, and wait at least 2 days or something like that between each time you want to drink it. It's very potent. I was just like, all right. So I went home and obviously did 4 because I was like, it's been a while, so maybe I definitely need to get this out, all this stuff out. And I remember putting it in. I was an idiot. I decided to do it after I left the office, which was around 4 p.m. Didn't
Mm.
hit me until around 8 p.m. And guess who was going to the bathroom all night? And I mean, it was the worst experience and the worst. It was like the dark night of the soul. Like I was going through every emotion you can think of. I was just like, I remember having like 2 gallons of water by my bed. I was laying in bed. And I was just constantly drinking because obviously I was going so much.
Oh
And
man.
dude, it was such a bad experience. I mean, I went back to normal after that. I didn't have another 9 days without going to the bathroom. But folks, I'm telling you, like, that's something that got to get fixed. And I think a lot of Americans actually have problems with digestive
Yeah.
issues. A lot, because you just told me, I didn't even know that, bro. Like what you just mentioned, like me and you went through the same thing. Right now, I'm okay, but like there's moments where I just, for some reason, for like a week, I'll have, it won't be good. I'll be constipated. I'll be going through it. That's what happened to me about 2 weeks ago. I had to take a magnesium, like a little bit more than usual to like loosen up.
Mm.
And it helped. And thank God for that. But folks don't know this, bro, and they just live with this problem. And I think
Yeah.
that can eventually lead to issues of colon cancer and all these other sicknesses that can come out of this. You don't want this
Sure.
stuff going into your bloodstream. So what you said, I'm definitely going to try that out. I also been thinking about doing a Viome. Is it Viome? Where you take a poop stool sample and they kind of see the cultures that are in your gut and all this stuff. I want to like really get this like handled, especially as we're going to go
Sure.
deeper into training. And, I want to make sure that shit is on top. But yeah, like, I don't want to ruin my body with this stuff because we're changing constantly, right? We're experimenting and all that. So like testing is the only way we can tell like is this working or is it not? And David Blaine, and I'll go into like what kind of inspired me to really think about this. When David Blaine talked about when he did the 44-day fast, he said it still messes with him. Years later, he's like, I'm still having issues from that time. And I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. Obviously, he did something
Mm.
radical, like 44 days of fasting, and he's not even a big dude. Like, if he was fat, 280, 300 pounds, 44 days ain't nothing for a person like that. But he's a small dude like me and you doing 44 days has definitely messed up his body. He almost died. He said the doctor
Yeah.
decided to give him an IV. That was a bad idea. Just to let y'all know, sometimes doctors also make mistakes. And things like that really like made me look at like, oh crap, like some of these things that we do try, we have to be very careful and do
Yeah.
our research, and talk to the right people. And that's why we have this podcast, because we talk to each other, we talk about the research we look at, we talk about like how it's working for us. You do tests. I haven't done any of these tests, but dude, you're always doing these tests, and I think that it's vital that people know that, because they might just be like, I'm gonna try this, and it's just like, well, maybe you should get a coach or someone that knows this to help you.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, and I think with that is also the opposite is also true, which is sometimes like, you know, most people know if they're doing the wrong thing. And most
right,
people know what the right thing is just instinctively. So, there is a level of,
self
because
awareness.
for me, it was just I got to the point where I did all of the right things I possibly knew I could have done and still wasn't seeing certain results that I thought I should have. And so it was just, I have a desire for a very specific result, and I'm willing to go to Earth's ends to to figure it out, you know. So I'm quick to invest into something or someone who can support me, you know, even if it's just a little bit to move forward. Um, and I've been lucky to have amazing teachers in that way. But I actually think I'm not most people. Like I think most people, if they just did the right things, they would get better results than I've ever gotten. So um, yeah, you know, a lot of times you just, you know, everyone knows what's the right thing, and they should go do that. Um, but yeah, so what about you? What is your plan for this coming week? You just, as far as nutrition, you're just gonna go back to doing the 16-8, or are you gonna do anything different there?
Um, well, do my typical 36-hour fast into Monday night. Um, or well, Monday afternoon. Now that you told me, and I learned this, I mean, that's why it's good to have these chats because you're like, wait, so it's probably best to break my fast between 12 and 3. I usually in the past have broken it for dinner, so like around, and dinner is always early, 5:36. But obviously, maybe the body is winding down, and I think that could have been a mistake I made last week. Just eating late, eating throughout the day, definitely like blood sugar is probably going like this. For those that I'm doing like a wave, for those that are just
Mhm.
listening, not watching. Um, and that can affect my sleep. And I don't know if you've seen my recovery, but I think I only had one green day this week. So definitely have to just shift that a little bit, especially when it comes to the fasting. And I'm going to do 16-8. I'm going to stick to my carnivore-ish, where it's mostly meat and veggies are kind of like the side platter. Funny enough, how like people are still like meat should be the smallest, and then it should be like all these
Mhm.
veggies and stuff, and that's still a thing. And I'm just like, that's crazy. Um, but yeah, we just went shopping today, so we have food throughout the week. I didn't know if I told you, but I have a bunch of organ meat now. From I think we talked
Yeah,
about
you
this last
did.
time. So I'm trying to implement more organ meats into the meal. So like, yes, have muscle protein meat or whatever, but like a little bit of organ meat every meal, a little bit of kidney, a little bit of heart, a little bit. That's what I got. I got kidney, heart, um, a lot of it. So I'm just like excited to try to implement those more. And yeah, I mean, 16-8 all day, every day. And hopefully we'll see if I have, more energy, or, I don't have a horrible sleep this week, because that's something I was
Mhm.
worried about. What about
Mhm.
you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest change this week will be, moving over not just to prolonged fasting, keto fasting. I do have a fear of potentially experiencing some level of keto flu. Hopefully, I don't.
Hopefully you
um,
don't. Electrolytes, bro.
electrolytes, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, yo, Mountain Valley, man, I love this shit. Like,
That's true. It does
I,
have electrolytes in them.
yeah, it has calcium, magnesium, and potassium.
Yeah, it has
Um,
all that you need.
yeah, and I'll say like, you know, I'll typically get like a Pellegrino or a Perrier or some other, you know, some other sparkling. I've noticed with Mountain Valley, like it'll take me a while to actually drink it because it really hydrates me, and so I don't need to like
Right.
be drinking it all day long or like just need to kill it in one shot. It has legit stuff. So if you got that around you, if you got Amazon, you know, highly recommend you get that good
And
stuff.
there are other brands that can. I mean, I know Fiji. It
Fiji, yeah,
actually is a good water recommendation from even Paul Chek. Paul Chek says it on his
yeah,
his podcast that if you don't have any of these sources, like Fiji is pretty much everywhere now, well known. It's like a great quality water brand that also keeps you, that thirst quench. You're not drinking the whole thing in one sitting. So
sure,
yeah,
sure, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. My only problem with brands like because he also mentions like Evian or Fiji, a lot of
yeah,
those bottles are plastic, you know, and you know my whole thing with that, those phytoestrogens, especially as a man, you don't want that in your system, you know. So
right. You're
if you
making
can
me
stay
have to
away,
go get my glass water now.
I know, bro, I know. Hey, man, just do the research. Phytoestrogens, not a good time for that testosterone. So, so but at the same time though, it's like, me eating fucking fried chicken isn't good either. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like no one's fucking
You
perfect.
gotta pick your
You gotta
battles.
pick your battles. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
have to.
and make your changes where you can and when you can. And it's not about being perfect. It's about just um, yeah, just being mindful. Yeah, don't be perfect. Be
Yeah,
mindful.
yeah. Self-awareness, man. I mean, I know
Yeah,
Gary Vee is a big proponent of talking about that, but it's the only way we know. Like, is this working for me? Is it not? Like, what can I control at this time with the amount of money? If you listen and you're not making like the money to get grass fed, grass finish, all this beef and water, like where can you cut those costs? Like these are all conversations that I have with even people I coach. I'm sure you have the same
yeah,
conversations. Like,
sure.
hey, like maybe this is not possible for you, but how can we make you get closer to that possibility? Remove all these foods. If you can't go organic right now, at least you're going towards, being whole foods based. As long as you get closer and take it step by step, I mean, it's better than just like eating frozen food in the frozen aisle and canned,
Yeah,
yeah, like all that garbage that's out there that a lot of people are eating. And what I grew up eating, I'm sure you grew up eating that box mac
yeah.
and cheese, bro. That top
Sure,
ramen.
yeah. Ramen noodle.
Yeah,
Fucking
man.
every Thursday we got McDonald's, and then like every Saturday we had Chinese food. I grew up in a
Damn.
very Americanized home, so
Same here, bro.
um,
It was every Friday and Saturday.
mm,
Every Friday we had Chinese food, and every Saturday we either had Domino's, we went to the fake fried chicken spot, the fake KFC, which we call
yeah,
PFC, and
yes,
or we went to the corner grocery store and all got like sandwiches,
sure,
Philly
yeah, yeah.
cheesesteaks and shit like that. So, like
And not
we all
to
been through it,
not to forget public school lunch, the great
right?
nutritious public school lunch that we all got to have. So
The soggy fries. I always remember
soggy
that.
fries,
Soggy
weird ass
fries,
pizza.
weird ass pizza that was like circular. Didn't even taste good, but it was pizza, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna have it. Then you will have all that and drink milk, which made no sense to me. Like, why would I
Yeah.
have all this and want to drink milk? I want like give me a water bottle or give me like juice. At the time, we thought juice was healthy. But we
Yeah.
surely learned, bro. We surely learned.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I think we're probably over the hour. But any
Sure. Yeah.
last final thoughts, comments before we jump off?
No, I mean, I think this was a great conversation. We look forward to updating you guys with what we have going on next week. And, let us know if there's anything you guys want to talk about, or if you guys ever want to have like a Q&A session. I see that
Word.
there are more of you listening out there, and we appreciate it. Uh, if you could leave a comment, a review, it can really help us spread this out there. And we're not doing God's work here by any means, but it's we'd like to we'd like to at least believe that these conversations are interesting and could be of some value to someone out there who is either just getting started on their health journey or is interested in just becoming more than what uh, people have told them they can be, what they've told themselves they can be. Because at the end of the day, Ruben and I we're regular dudes. We're everyday dudes. We hold regular jobs. We live regular lives, and we're interested in becoming more than our day jobs, or becoming more than what you see on paper. We're not fancy. We're not doing anything fancy. We don't make an incredible amount of money. We're fucking average Joes. So,
Mm.
and we have our own struggles, whether it's financially or, we're trying to figure out, we have our own health issues that we're still working through, or have our own injuries that we're recovering from. So we're not at some pedestal place. We're just two guys trying to figure it out. And I'm sure you're trying to figure it out too. So, if you could spread that along, that'd be awesome.
Yes, share with your friends, family, all those folks. Reach out to us. We're heavy on the Instagram DM, so If y'all have any question, I would love to do Q&A session. I know you mentioned that. I was like, oh, that'd be such a great idea. But yeah,
Yeah.
as always, we'll be here again next week. So much love, y'all, and let's shut it down
Much
here.
love.
All right, yo.
All right.